thanks ever so much for joining us. So, following on from our previous conversations, the idea of this was just to go into a bit more detail about the planning process. Probably the best place to start would be what's involved in the early stages.
Yeah, sure. I would say the site analysis and research stage is a key part of the process in achieving successful planning permission, as this not only just allows us to maximize use of the site, but also helps us find the most appropriate and efficient solution for both the property and the client. It's also a stage where it gives us an opportunity to get ahead of the game a little bit by finding out what the site-specific local policies there are, which can then in turn inform our approach. And just a general rule of thumb would be the more research that's carried out at the early stages, the less surprises there'll be.
Yeah. Okay. So, what type of things would you normally find during this research stage that you think sort of would have the most effect on the project as a whole at this early stage from the planning perspective?
Well, each site has its own constraints, but some examples could be that, let's say this is a house and you find out that it has an Article 4 direction, and what this basically means is that the council has removed certain permitted development rights from the property, and in that situation you'd be looking at making a full planning application. You could find out it's in a conservation area, or it might even be a listed building itself, both of which could limit what you can do to the property in an effort to preserve and enhance the local character. Um, and if it is a listed building, it's always wise to seek pre-application advice in order to find out what the local authority would be happy with.
Okay. So this early research phase is pretty crucial then, and actually this is informing us on what the best type of of application that we might be making.
Exactly. Without the analysis, clients would always run the risk of delays, all sorts of uncertainties, uh, refused plan applications, and ultimately costs. And a way to overcome all of that is by appointing a team of professionals who specialise in this type of work. And the way we bring added value from Z Group is the fact that we work alongside our in-house team of accountants and solicitors who can deal with the financial and legal matters. And it's just another advantage of working with us because of how we can help clients minimize delays and multiple meetings at different offices and different companies. And it makes us stand out from conventional practices and is also a unique selling point of our business.
Okay, so focusing a bit more on this topic of planning policies and the different types of reports that have been mentioned, could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yes, depending on the complexity and nature of the application, local authorities might require the applicant to submit further additional technical reports. This is because applications need to justify that they meet national and local policies and building regulations.
Hmm. Okay, and have you got any example? I mean, what sort of reports are we talking about here?
Yes, each development has different requirements. Some might need a transport statement along with a parking survey, a daylight and sunlight study, an energy assessment, even a tree survey, just to name a few. But let's say this is for a new build block of flats on a busy high street. The local authority would most likely ask you to submit something known as a noise impact assessment. And what this is basically a report that determines whether the future occupants of this block of flats can actually comfortably live there. This would involve appointing a specialist consultant to carry out a noise survey, produce the necessary calculations and reports which would have to comply with various British standards.
Okay, so these external consultants are playing quite a significant part in the whole process, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. It's important for applicants to ensure they've assembled a right team of specialists and consultants in place, and to do so as early as possible. Instead of it being an afterthought or a tick box exercise, it's always far better to integrate their advice into the design at the early stage, and that way things are done much more holistically, and it gives the client just a far better idea on what to expect from the development. And also, as architects, we understand the value that consultants can bring to a project, and the fact that we can, as architects, fulfill our role as lead designer and at times lead consultant by coordinating a team of consultants and specialists to ensure the reports support the application as much as it can.
Okay, so the consultants are obviously providing services that you as an architect wouldn't normally provide in order to present this more robust planning application, and presumably this has an impact on cost on the project overall.
Yes, it's very important to note that the consultants are appointed because the work involved in producing such surveys, calculations, and reports are outside of our skill set. and clients need to budget for consultants because their fees are separate from our architects' fees. And lastly, they'd have to factor in the time it would take for consultants to produce such surveys and reports, whatever they are carrying out. And because each consultant's timescales are different, it just further reinforces the idea that it's important to get the right team of consultants in place as early in the planning process as possible.
Thank you very much, Henry. That was very interesting.
You're welcome.